Everyone. Rebecca Martin from Rebecca Martin Coaching, teaching you transformational public speaking skills to amplify your presence at work and in your life. Thank you so much for joining me. Today, I'm going to be teaching you 3 vocal choices to enhance your authority in your communication. But I want to first let you know that this is the second part of a 2-part series that focuses on amplifying your authority. In the first part, the first video, I taught you 3 body language techniques to amplify your presence, your authority in your presence. You don't even have to say anything. You can just shift your presence with these 3 body language techniques. So if you've not watched it, make sure to catch that one. I think it's really good and going to help you in accomplishing your communication goals and up-leveling your public speaking tool set. So today, I'm excited to teach you 3 vocal techniques that you can use to amplify your authority in your communication. And we're going to jump right into these 3. First, I'm going to give you high level what they are. The first is to speak with volume. And I'm going to teach you a very easy, accessible way to amplify your volume in your daily communication. The second technique I'm going to teach you is to learn how to be concise in your communication. And there's a couple of easy techniques to help you to do that. And the third technique is teaching you how to end your sentences, make statements instead of ask questions. Stick around to the very end of this video, and I'm going to give you one more bonus technique that I think you'll really, really appreciate, and we'll pull all of these together. So let's dive right in to our first technique. Amplify your volume in order to communicate authority in your communication. So how do we do this? You might feel like you're just a quiet talker, or you might feel like you don't have that much power, or you maybe have been told this for a while that you just have a quiet voice. Now, listen up. It's not really about volume. It's about bringing power behind your voice. And that means supporting your voice in your communication. So you might still have kind of a breathy voice or a quieter voice or kind of a lighter tone, and that's okay. But we can hear in each other's communication whether or not our voice is being supported. And that's what I'm going to teach you how to do, is to support your voice. So the way that we support our voice is to take a deep breath before we speak and speak at the top of our inhale. This might sound kind of simple, but if you're doing this along with me, you might notice that it feels entirely unnatural. You might be somebody who inhales and exhales before they speak. That is very, very common. You might be somebody who inhales and holds their breath while they speak. It's never going to look that dramatic, but you'll notice as I walk you through this technique whether or not you're one of the 2 stories that I just described. So again, in order to increase our volume, we need to give ourselves some breath support. So start by taking a nice deep breath in, speaking at the top of your inhale, and speaking as you exhale. When you get to the end of your breath, you're at the end of your sentence. This is the first way to amplify your volume. The second technique that I want to teach you in order to amplify your authority is to speak in clear and concise sentences. So just as a culture, we have a tendency of speaking in long, run-on sentences. Why? Because we don't quite know what is the point of what we're saying, and we think that maybe if we just keep speaking, we'll find the message, we'll find the point at some point later on. And when we get there, hopefully we'll know. I tried to demonstrate it for you. It's not always the case that we know our point by the end of our sentence. We actually really need to take a deep breath, think about what we want to say, and then speak. But that's beside the point. So our tendency as a society is to speak on in long run-on sentences. The way that we allow ourselves to do that is we'll take tiny little catch breaths in the middle of our sentences so that we never actually have to finish. Instead, what I'm suggesting is that you take a deep breath, speak at the top of your inhale, exhale while you speak, and when you're at the end of your sentence, you're at the end of your breath. Don't let yourself take that little catch breath. A way to facilitate yourself speaking in this way, not taking catch breaths, is to tell yourself to speak in shorter sentences. Go ahead and think about it for a second. What is a message that you feel like you want to communicate at your next team meeting? Think about how you might communicate this message in short, clear sentences. This is probably entirely different than the way you would have communicated it before. Can you use 3 to 5 sentences to communicate your message? I hope you're going ahead and trying this out now, because you'll notice that when you simply tell yourself to speak in shorter sentences, you are able to communicate your point more concisely. Often we have the question, how many sentences should I use in order to communicate my point? I'll tell you, there's a magic in the numbers 3 to 5. 3 is the magic number. If you can communicate your point in 3 short sentences, people are listening and they get it, and they're happy when you are complete. 5 is pushing it, but sometimes we need to communicate a little bit more information. So in order to be concise, let me summarize. In order to be concise, speak in shorter sentences and use the magic number of 3 to 5 sentences. So finally, we have the technique of pitching your voice down at the end of your sentences in order to communicate authority. So this is not always going to be relevant. This is not always going to work. But in general, when we make statements instead of asking questions, we sound more like an authority. When we actually need to ask a question, we can allow our voice to reflect that. So let's think about a few statements we can make and then a few questions we can ask. And let's play with pitching our voice down for the statements and pitching our voice up for the questions. Let's just go ahead and take 3 sentences to describe yourself, and you can follow along with me. My name is Rebecca Martin. I live outside of San Francisco in California. I'm a public speaking coach, and I love what I do. Notice how I spoke in very short sentences, and at the end of each sentence, I pitch my voice down. You can try this with any sentence that feels a little more comfortable to you. I didn't know that. You're not my friend. Sorry, that one was a little bit harsh. This is the end. This is an important point. I think that this is fair and square. This is my last number. You keep repeating this pattern and you'll start to feel it and hear it in your own voice. And you might start to notice, this feels very foreign to me. That might be some area of growth, something for you to work on. So now let's try pitching our voice up. Let's think about 3 questions that we would like to ask anyone that we meet for the first time. Have you come here before? What do you do? Where are you from? Notice with each of these questions, I let my voice pitch up, and that lets the other person know that it's a question. So let me ask you something. Do you tend to speak in sentences where you pitch your voice down? Or do you tend to speak in sentences where you pitch your voice up? Which one do you think sounds more authoritative? This one or this one? Or this one? I'll let you be the judge. So, to wrap up, we have these three techniques. We have speaking at the top of your inhale, which increases your volume and your support. Speaking in shorter sentences, being concise, using the magic number of 3 to 5. And finally, pitching your voice down at the end of each of your sentences. Now, I told you that I had a bonus technique, and I do, for making sure that you are communicating with authority. And that is to hit all of your consonants. Listen to the sound of consonants. Consonants are the following sounds: t, 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 d, 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 n, l, s, d. When you hit your consonants, the tendency will then be that you finish your words. You complete each of your words, and therefore you complete the entirety of your sentence. When you speak, focusing on hitting all of your consonants, you sound articulate because you are articulate. Hope this last bonus technique really worked for you, because it sure does work for me and my clients. Please, if you appreciate this video, if you like my techniques, if you like my coaching, please give this a thumbs up. If you have any comments like, tell me a little bit more about such and such technique, or you haven't covered this, or I really loved using this technique and experimenting with it during this situation, I would love to hear it. Please connect with me in the comments below, and I look forward to seeing you during our next video.